the Son, of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Let us pray with fervor, perseverance for our brother Christians around the world who are so much persecuted now. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and in the hour of our death. Amen. Mary, seat of wisdom, pray for us. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. So this morning we begin a new chapter on fallacies. So we have two classes on fallacies. And after that, the last chapter will be on material logic. So don't wait at the last minute to prepare your game. Practice. And you have exercises with the book of Sister Taylor. So use those exercises. Work together. It's a very good thing to work together. Yet one another to understand. Okay. So what is a fallacy? Fallacy is in fact an apparent syllogism. It has the likeness of a good reasoning process. So it is an appearance. It is a reasoning which appears to conclude, but in fact does not conclude. It is the common rash judgment to which everyone is prone, inclined. For example, you see, you pass, your parishioner, for example, your parishioner pass in front of the bar, and you see there, you see you, the parish priest, walking out of the bar. Oh, Father, maybe you go there to collect charity for the poor. You know, it's the best place because people are joyful and they give. That is my father. He was working for the Saint Vincent de Paul, and sometimes a good place to collect money is in the tavern because people are happy and they are generous. You know. So rash judgment. We are inclined to rash judgment very, very rapidly. We will come back on that. It is the process of jumping too quickly to a conclusion. We start from some event, immediately we conclude, and we start from the effect and we go to the cause. So it is the process of reaching a conclusion with no sound basis, without a sound reason for that. That is we call a fallacy. Fallacy. For example, here I give you two examples in the. In fact, it is the application of what we study in hypothetical syllogism. If P, then Q. So if we affirm Q, can you affirm P?
No.
No, we don't know. Maybe, maybe not. So that is. Many fallacies are based on that. We start from the effect and we conclude immediately to the cause. It can be a cause, but it's not the cause. For example, the box of candies is empty. Suppose at Christmas you receive a box of candy, and you put that, you were 10 years old, you put your box of candy in your room, or somewhere in the house, and suddenly you came and no more candy. Oh. Candy disappeared. Or you count, I have 20 candies. And the day after you count, you have only 15 candies. Oh, some mouse passed in my room. Okay? So you can say, oh, I know, I'm sure it is my little sister. My little sister, I'm sure. Well, you know, your grandmother also likes candy. Maybe she can, maybe. So we have to, we cannot start from the effect to go to the cause. Another example, there is a letter in the mailbox. So what kind of letter? Some people, they don't like to receive letter because too many times they have bills, more than checks. So it's still a bill. Because I saw the name of the doctor in the corner of the letter, I say, oh, that is the bill. So you open the letter and you discover it's not a bill. It is an appointment. It is to recall you that next week you have to meet him, you know. So that a lot of time we are inclined to make rash judgment, a quick judgment, arrive to the conclusion without a reason, without a certain and sure middle term. You know, the middle term allows us to go to the conclusion. So fallacies are the appearance of truth of the reasoning process, but they lead to deception, which may be two kinds of deception. Maybe intentional, we do that on purpose to trick you. Sophists were paid to prove anything. You know, some dealer, they try to sell, to oblige you to buy, almost oblige, to convince you that you should buy this car or buy this product, and they know that the car is not very good. You know, they trick you. That we see that on television everywhere, every week. American greed, for example. Most of the time is that. People, they are sophists. They try to prove to you that the product or the investment of your money is the best place. And finally, you lose everything. That is a sophist fallacy. Their reasoning is intentional. Intentionally, they seduce you, they lie to you to obtain what they want. Okay? It can be also unintentional. That means without any bad will. We call that paralogism. Paralogism. The Para-Olympic Games, you know that? Para mean on the side, you know. It is for the handicap. The Para-Olympic game is for the handicap. So they have the Olympic game, and just after they have the Para-Olympic game. You know. So paralogism is the outside of logic, you know. It is parallel, you know, parallel, on the side, okay? So that is from a fallacy coming from error. So we got a fallacy coming from a bad intention, or fallacy coming from error, by accident, accident, okay? So let us go, next page. In fact, what are the causes of sophism, if you want, that kind of fallacies? The most fertile ground, the fallacies, is, so here they give you four reasons, and we'll add two others. The first reason is starting from opinions which seem to be generally accepted, but in fact they are not. Opinion generally accepted. So you see, everybody think like that. In fact, it's not true, because if you are attentive, not everybody. But in general, the majority, not the. When you say the majority, is not everyone. No? So that is a kind of sophism or fallacy, grounded on general opinion. That is very frequent, no? Many people, they reason, and the middle term of their reasoning is taken from the opinion, the general opinion. So it is easier, in fact, to follow the general opinion than to oppose it. For example, if you go to a public university, in your class you discuss about life, about abortion, for example, maybe on 40 students, 35 are pro-choice, because it is, you know, it is general opinion, but in fact, maybe not 35, but it is difficult for you to affirm the contrary, you know. That is the pressure of the opinion. The pressure is a social reality. in society. To be comfortable, you must be conformed to the majority. Okay? Secondly, a reasoning which seems to follow a valid reasoning, but in fact it does not follow. It has the appearance of validity. So we seduce people because the reasoning we do seems to be good. Ah, yes. Finally, we say, okay, I will do that. But if we know clearly logic, we say, no, there is a mistake. And that is the role of studying the law of logic. It is in this likeness, there is possibility of deception. In fact, the word fallacy, fallacy comes from Latin, fallere, and that means to induce into error. To induce into error. To deceive, to induce into error, to deceive. So don't trust appearances. Possibility sometimes of abuse of rhetoric. You know, rhetoric was the art to prove what you want to prove if you are paid for that. No. It is a fact that some lawyer, they know their client is guilty. Many times they ask him, did you kill the person? I want to know the truth. He said, yes, I killed. Okay, I will prove that you did not kill. I will prove that you are innocent. It is a job. You know? Now, that kind of reasoning is a sophism. He does that not because for the truth, but because for his salary is his function. He is paid even by the government to defend. Every citizen has the right to have an attorney to take his defense. Okay. So fallacy seems to be true, but indeed are not true. It is one of the goals of this class. It is not only to interest you in fallacies, but it is make you able to detect fallacies, to be more critical in regard of many advertising, or many affirmation. Yes, brother?
So they talk about like weasel words, like brand new. Well, brand new compared to what? Like
Advertising are based on that. I don't say that every advertising is a fallacy, but many advertising are fallacies, and I will give you a work on that at the end of the class. Okay? So we have the general view, and after we study one by one. Okay? So the sophists, those who study Greek history, ancient history with Father Karan, so surely you spoke about the sophists. Used to teach how to win either side of the case. One was ready to appear correct even at the cost of the truth. The lawyer who knows that his client is innocent, he is paid to prove that he is not innocent. He is not guilty. Even if he knows he is guilty. So that is sophism, one kind of sophism. But many times those lawyers today, they are not, I will say, they will not insist on the content, guilty or not, but they will work on the form of the accusation. They will try to find a defect in the accusation, and they work on that because of the defect. For example, suppose the policeman did not fill regularly, according to the law, the accusation, when he arrested that man, suppose. And if he discovers, oh, there is no signature, oh, the date is not correct, the hour he put there is impossible. He will work on that to prove that he is innocent. So it is, we call a vice of form, a vice of form. So it is important, for example, in marriage, if you are a priest, you have to preside marriage, to be sure that all the form is well filled. For example, they are sure they have, if they are minor, they have the authorization of their parent. Or if they have all the form, the inquiry before marriage is well filled. To be sure that the man is not already married in another country, for example. An Italian come from Italy, or a German, or a Vietnamese, he say, I want to marry. Yes, first check. Maybe he has a wife and 3 children in the other country. You know? Okay. So 3, they taught how to produce apparent wisdom for the sake of profit. So sometimes the fallacies are provoked by the desire to make money. And that many times is under lying advertising. Huh? For selfish motives and plain laziness. We are not interested to completely to discover the truth, because if I discover the truth, at least I know the law, I will be obliged to change my way of living. Huh? So laziness, and also I have another one, prejudices. Huh? Prejudices also lead to fallacies. For example, the color of the skin, or the origin, religion, etc. So that a few years ago, 40 years ago, when a crime was committed in some village, immediately we accused that man. So that prejudices. Okay. Nero used that in Rome in 53, 56, when he wanted to create a new Rome. He burned a part of the city, the whole city, and he accused the Christian to have, and the people accepted very well. At that time, St. Peter was crucified. Huh? So the prejudices, those kind, for example, a Jew is necessarily avaricious, you know. He is a greedy man. He wants to make money. That prejudices, a lot of prejudices. Okay. Now, page 3, origin of sophism. So we have 2 kinds of fallacies. We have fallacies or caused by words, and fallacies caused by connections. And that kind of fallacy dependent on language. So it is the misusage of the language that can provoke fallacies. That we don't use correctly, we don't express correctly, and because of that, the conclusion is error, is a fallacy. We have another kind of fallacy we call by connection. And that kind of fallacy, it is independent of language. So this morning we will work first on fallacy based on language. In next class, fallacy based on the independent of language. So the fallacy based, okay, so fallacies are dependent on language, and fallacy independent of language. The fallacy dependent on language, we can say it is relative to the matter of the syllogism, and here it is more to the form of the syllogism, on the logical link. Okay? I go to B on page 3. Fallacy depending of language. So the first kind of fallacies. The first kind of fallacies. We call that also fallacy in diction. Diction comes from dicere in Latin, and the participle passive, the suffix is dictum. You remember dictum de omni, dictum, dictum de omni, dictum de nullo. What is said of. So in diction, that means in the way we speak. In diction means in the way we speak, we talk. And shifting sense, that means the sense at the beginning is that, it means that, after, during the reasoning, the meaning is going to another. So the middle term has not the same meaning. The middle term is shifting. Okay? We see that. So one word or artificial sign does duty for quite diverse things at times. That is based on equivocal. In fact, that kind of many times fallacies on language are based on equivocity. The terms are equivocal. You remember at the beginning of the semester, univocal, equivocal, and analogical. Okay? So here, the usage of words set the stage for fallacious reasoning, since it opens the way to the presence of four terms. In fact, we have subject and the predicate of the conclusion. You have the middle term and the predicate. You have the subject and the middle term. But the middle term here and the middle term in the second has not exactly the same meaning. The same meaning. We'll give some example of that. Okay? Now let us go to the cause of fallacies in the misuse of words. What? So we find four causes. In fact, the three first are equivocal, equivocity, equivocal. First, the double meaning of words and grammatical construction. We call that ambiguity. That is the first case we will study. The second is the misleading combination or division of words. We call that amphibology. That means it can mean that to have two different meanings. Three, a misleading placement of accentuation and punctuation. That is the accent and punctuation. It can change completely the meaning of the sentence. And finally, a misuse of the form of inflection in the word. We say that we call extradiction. So the first, ambiguity. It is a fallacy resulting from two diverse and intended meaning of a word or a phrase. For example, for the use in puns and advertisements. So we use the same word to make people laugh. You know what is a pun? Or advertisement, to make people interested with the advertisement. You remember maybe it's still existing, I saw that recently on television. A very old advertising, maybe 20 years is there. They announce mattresses. You know mattress? It's a good friend during the night. Okay? So they say, when you buy that mattress, you are happy for the rest of your life. You remember that? For the rest of your life. That is a pun. Because the rest meaning two things, no? What we do on a mattress, we take a rest. So a rest means to repose, to be well. And the rest also means what is again coming in your life. How many years you have to live? The rest. You understand? Maybe you have 20 years for the rest of your life. So that is an example of ambiguity here. So for the rest of your life, has two meanings. And that is pleasing, it's not insulting, it's funny. The problem for those who don't master the language is sometimes we don't seize the pun, we don't seize the taste of the pun, because we don't master the language. So it is true in every language. And that is very difficult to translate that. For example, this pun cannot be translated in French. Because in French, rest est repos. Repose. Repos. And the rest of your life is a rest. So, in French that's not, but in English, it functions. So some puns cannot be translated because they are proper to a language. Okay? That is the reason why sometimes when we are not American, People laugh, laugh, laugh. People say, why? Why they laugh? Because they catch the ambiguity. In that ambiguity, sometimes it is incongruous, it is not fitting well, make people laugh, you know. Okay? But it's surprising that advertising exists for a long, long, long time. You know? And people are not, you know, if they study, if they don't change the advertising, because the advertising continue to please to people. Okay? So, did you hear about the case of whiskey? It is the last case in court. So you have case and case, you know. Case the box, and case what is judged in the court. Since the janitor did not fire the furnace, I intend to fire him. To fire and fire. So the first fire need to put fire to the wood, to the coal in the furnace, to the oil, you know. And the other, it is to be kicked out. Okay? So that is a play on word. In fact, sometimes when the play on word is accidental, we call that the lapsus linguae. A slip of language. Slip. We slip on a banana. It is not voluntary. You remember when I gave the class in the philosophy of man about the unconscious? Someone maybe in the class know that. A student went to the funeral home because his teacher, mathematics teacher, died. You remember that? Mm-hmm. And when he arrived to offer his condolences to the wife of the teacher, he said, "Congratulations." That is a lapsus linguae. So sometimes our ambiguity can be caused also by lapsus linguae. Or we change one letter. I will give that. You will see that I gave you a series of bloopers, church bulletin bloopers. And you will see that sometimes only you change one letter, for example, to sin and to sing, and this is completely different. Completely different. Suppose next Friday for the choir practice, brother, right, come to sing. He forgot the G. It's not the same meaning. Okay? I go now to page 3, amphibology. So, equivocation, a sentence susceptible or more than one interpretation. In fact, it's a double meaning. Double meaning, equivocation, amphi. Okay. What is that? It is a fallacy resulting from two diverse and unintended meaning caused by grammatical construction. It is not will. Don't forget. We are not. They are not sophism. They are accidental. It is the result of dangling, suspending, or misplaced modifier or pronouns, which with unclear antecedent. It is the way you write, and the way you write is not clear. The way you write is equivocal. For example, Paul likes ice cream better than his wife. That is equivocal, no? That means Paul likes ice cream better than his wife likes ice cream. But it can be also, he likes more ice cream than his wife, you know? Okay? Last, one umbrella by an old man with a carved ivory head. Is it the umbrella that ivory head or the old man? James told Fred that he, who is he? Fred or John? We don't know. Will become a great musician. That is equivocal. 4. Mary saw a hat in a window which she liked. Did she like the hat or she liked the window? Because we can like it. It was beautiful. Here in Latin, Marcum Victorum Titum. You know, the problem of Latin has no article. I taught Latin many years.
No articles.
No article in Latin. You know, what is the role of an article? It is to precise. Huh? But there is no article in Latin. Because of that, Latin is much more ambiguous than Greek. Greek is very clear. Greek, like French, like Spanish, is very, very clear. English, sometimes they have no article. You see, men, women are fickle. You remember that la donna è mobile, indefinite. But there is no article. Many times in English there is no article. So, well, the article has the power to precise. Huh? So in Latin there is no article. Another thing also, they have we call the infinitive proposition. Now, what is that story? That story comes from the gladiator. Huh? They have to fight. And the people, like today, when there is a boxing game, they bid on the boxer. So they bid on the gladiator. And to be sure not to waste to lose their money, they go to a sorcerer, a witch, a vatum. And that sorcerer, what he does, he is not stupid at all. So he take how do you say that?
A jar.
A jar, and he put in the jar 2 sticks. 2 sticks. Mm-hmm. And on every stick it is written, Marcum Victorum Titum, or Titum Victorum Marcum. And he prays to the God, and sends. Finally, he took it. He said, you know. So those who bid for Marcum, when he take he say, Titum Victorum Marcum. Oh, okay, money bid. The other, they come, they say, hey, money first, pay. After that, take and he said, Marcum Victorum Titum. Oh, wonderful. Bid. But only one is victorious, no? Yeah. So, suppose Titum is killed during the fight. The friend, those who bid for Titum, they will come to the sorcerer and will say, hey, you promise us that Titum will... No, I promise you that Marcum will victory. Because victorum means to be being victorious, being victorious in the future, will win. That is example of ambiguity. Maybe I spoke to you about the translation of glory to men of goodwill. Omnibus pax, omnibus boni voluntatis. That is a good example of the ambiguity of Latin. Word for word, peace to men of goodwill. But what kind of goodwill? Is it the goodwill of man or the goodwill of God? And that is the discussion between theology. Latin is ambiguous because you can translate by 2 translations. It can be the goodwill, the benevolence of God, but the benevolence of man. So some theologians, like in French, for example, in Italian, they say, peace to men that men whom God loves. That means the boni voluntatis of God, the goodwill of God. But the American translation is peace to men of goodwill, the goodwill of men. The same word can have 2 translations dependent on your theology. So in the first, God is totally the one who gives the gift without requiring, God is totally independent, free to give the gift of peace. Here, he gives peace only to those who have goodwill. So the mean is very restrictive, and the gift of peace depends on men, does not depend on God. But here, the gift of peace depends on God, not on men. That is the problem of translation. You know, we say in Italian, tradutor, traditor. The translator, tradutor, is a treater. Treater. Is the one who, in fact, when we translate, we cannot translate. You know, sometimes I smile because someone told me a day, you know, Father, you know, the catechism, Catholic catechism was written first in French, by French theologian and German. For example, Benedict XVI speaks a perfect French. Huh? He worked 20 years with the French theologian. So the catechism was written in French. But he told me, you know, Father, he was written in French, but he was translated in Latin to be more precise. So it's not true. Latin is not a precise language. The proof of that, if you go to Rome and you look at the monument in Rome, you will see the text, all the letters are written, all the same form without any punctuation. Everything is, and there is a nightmare for translator. First, you put punctuation, and secondly, the same sentence can be translated in many forms. I can give you many examples, but what I want to say, some languages are very precise. Greek, you will study Greek. Greek is very precise. French is very, very precise. It's the reason why French was adopted for centuries for diplomatic language, because it is that or not. Huh? But it is a difficult language because you have a lot of precision. For example, the past participle. I have seen. In English, seen, finish. In French, you have 15 rules for that. 15. And every has a precise meaning. So that, you know, like Greek, if you study Greek, Greek is very difficult because of the nuances in the language. Okay? So that the points are based on that. So the genius of the people understand, but the other difficulties is normal. With my confrère, we had here a brother, a priest, Father Glenn Klusenek. Now he's 93 years old. He was here a spiritual director. And he was not able to say a sentence without making a joke. He was specialized in that, in that. And he made people laugh, huh? Create joy in the seminary. Okay? The fallacy of equivocation, huh? Committed when a word is used in one sense the first time and another sense in the other time. Huh? Okay? So you can see that the medicine the doctor gave me made my eyes smart. What? The medicine the doctor gave me made me my eyes smart. You should have used it on your head. You understand, you know? If you are smart, if you have to use it, and if you are not smart, you know? Okay. Well, now, I give you that to make you laugh, but to make you aware of the importance when you write a text in your parish bulletin to be very attentive not to make some mistakes. That is taken from real facts. Huh? Ladies' Bible study will be held Thursday morning at 10. All ladies are invited to lunch in the fellowship hall after the BS is done. So, BS, sister, ask American to tell you that during the meeting. Bullshit. So, but only American can know that. Huh? Okay? The pastor will appreciate if the ladies of the congregation will lend him their the girdles for the pancake breakfast next Sunday morning. In fact, they should write griddles. They are like to cook, but girders are the. We can translate that for the sister? Huh? No?
I don't know what it is.
Okay. There is no way they can explain to you. The pastor will preach his farewell message, after which the choir will sing, "Break forth into joy." We are so happy he is leaving. You understand the joke here? Huh? Remember in prayer the many who are sick of our church and community. To be sick of means to be completely displeased with the community. To be sick of philosophy, that means I don't want to study more philosophy. So here, in fact, the sick of the church means the sick who are appertaining to the church, but the meaning is double here. That means those who don't like the church and those who belong to the church. The same words have double interpretation. Okay? The 8th graders will be presenting Shakespeare's Hamlet in the church basement Friday at 7 p.m. The congregation is invited to attend this tragedy. Well, in fact, it is a tragedy, but tragedy has another meaning. It will be a catastrophe. Huh? The word tragedy means a piece of theater, but means also a catastrophe. It will be a failure, you know. So that's ambiguous. Thursday night, potluck supper, prayer, and medication to follow. In fact, you know, potluck, it is to eat. After that, medication. In fact, it is meditation. Meditation. A bean supper. A bean supper will be held on Tuesday evening in the church hall. Music will follow. And that makes me remind what my seminarian in Cameroon, they call beans. They call that musical candies. They like beans because musical, you know, musical. Music after the meal. Music will follow. Weight Watchers will meet at 7 p.m. on the First Presbyterian Church. Please use large double door on the side entrance. Because Weight Watchers is for large people. Okay? Tuesday at 4 p.m. there will be an ice cream social. All it is giving milk. Please come early. That is ambiguous. The Lutheran men's group will meet at 6 p.m. Steak, mashed potatoes, green beans, bread, and dessert will be served for a nominal fee. A feel, a touch, a hug, etc. No, for a nominal fee. Period. You add one letter, you change the meaning. No? Don't let worry kill you. Let the church help. Good, huh? Don't let worry kill you. Let the church help. To kill you. This being Easter Sunday, we will ask Mrs. Lewis to come forward and lay an egg on the altar. That is ambiguous also. Thursday at 5 p.m. there will be a meeting of the Little Mothers Club. All wishing to become little mothers, please see the minister in his study.
Wow.
That is very ambiguous. Irvin Benson and Jessie Carter was married on October 24 in the church. So ends a friendship that began in their schooling. You know, and that they finished. Now they are married, there is no more friendship. The next one is a little bit difficult to understand. We explain after that. Bertha Belch, a missionary from Africa, will be speaking tonight at Calvary Memorial Church in Racine. Come tonight and hear Bertha Belch, all the way from Africa. Oh, you know what is Belch, huh? And to erect, and to burp, huh? From your stomach, huh? When you eat. So, all the time from Africa she was burping. The ladies of the church have cast off clothing and every kind, and they may say in the church they do not find. That is ambiguous. Huh? There were a lot of people like announcement in the church bulletin from the National Prayer and Fasting Conference. The cost for attending the fasting and prayer conference include meals. But it's fasting, but includes meals. Miss Charlene Mason sang, "I will not pass this way again," giving obvious pleasure to the congregation. Probably she was not a very good singer. Huh? Next Sunday, in the family A ride and bonfire of the Fowlers, bring your own hot dogs and guns. Friends are welcome. Everyone come for a fun time. Here it is hot dogs and buns. Huh? And buns, not guns, buns. Buns. That changed the meaning. Huh? Buns and guns.
Sounds like we're in Texas.
It's Texas. During the absence of our pastor, we enjoy the rare privilege of hearing a good sermon when Father G, etc., supply on our pulpit. You know, it's not very interesting for the pastor. No? The church was host an evening of fine dining, superb entertainment, and gracious hostility. But this the word we should write, hospitality.
People wrote these and put them in their church, but
hospitality, not hostility. I remember when I was in my family, we used to say the prayer in the family. We were at that time 6 children, and my father said the rosary, my mother sometimes, and to make us participating, we have to participate. So I was asked to recite the litanies of Mary, the litanies. And one of the I will say in French because it's difficult to translate in English. I say Marie was ending the devotion. Bon, what is the meaning of that? Indignant, that unworthy, unworthy. In fact, it is, I should have write, ensign, worthy. The change of a letter, instead of saying, I say, Mary and was ending the devotion. After the litany, my mother said, oh, Michel, we don't say ending, we say sing. Because ending means unworthy. And sing means worthy. So I changed one letter, but for me, it was the same. And my mother was, Okay? We changed one letter, we sing the meaning of. Okay, I continue. The church will host an evening of, we said that, okay. The evening at 7 p.m., there will be a hymn sing in the park across from the church. Bring a blanket and come prepared to sing. Prepare to sing. Prepare to sing. Sing.
Wow.
Ladies, don't forget the rummage sale. No? The rummage, the garage sale. Huh? Okay? It is a chance to get rid of those things no worth keeping around the house. Don't forget your husband. Not me. Huh? Are they not working? So that is a double meaning. Huh? Okay? So that, we laugh because most of the time when it is intended, it is to provoke laughing. But here it's not intended. It is by accident. Sometimes the secretary change a letter, like for example, when I was young, I say indignus instead of insignus, I change one letter, changing one letter, I say exactly the contradictory, absolutely the opposite. Okay? So we must be attentive. Do the language. I give you an example. That's not it's not a joke, it's a reality. The nuncio in Belgium, make a speech in front of the king. I think it was the King Leopold, okay, and the king of Belgium. And he said, votre femme, I say in French first, huh? Votre femme est bien connue à Rome. Votre femme. est bien. Word for word, it means your wife is very well known in Rome. He said to the king, your wife is very well known in Rome. Phew. You know, in Latin, like in Italian, fama means reputation. So he said, your femme, femme, in English, famous, no? Your femme is well known in Rome. So he said he wanted to say your reputation, but he didn't use the right way, the right word. So he said exactly the contrary. That means your reputation is very well known. That means it's, you know, we are very well considered in Rome. But if you say, votre femme, your wife, is well known, that means she has not a good conduct. You know? So that is a danger to speak another language and we don't know exactly the content, what we say. That happened to me in the first year I teach here. I said to my student, take your shit and write on it. Take your sheet and write on it. Only change completely and the student would admit himself.
That's why these really rich companies will hire these guys that are very, like, have doctorate degrees in language, you know, and to look at the contracts. Because if they make one mistake, it costs them millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. They are specialists to control every word.
Yeah, and they have to look at
every word is important. You change one word, you change completely the meaning of that. It's the same also in my country, don't know in the United States. You know, here we have the, I will say, the habit, the bad habit to shorten your name. You say Tom and not Thomas. You say Bill, you don't say William. In Canada, I don't do the law in the United States, but in Canada, if you want to have an official paper, you must write your exact name. If I write, for example, Mike Legault, my check has no value. I must write Michel Legault. And on the diploma, the same. We cannot use abbreviation. We are obliged to use the complete name. If you change one letter, if you change, you can say that is not valid. That is important for marriage. If you are a priest, you have to write correctly the name of the person. Because they can come say, no, my name is not with an E, is it with an A? Pearson, for example, Parson, you change one letter, and that is no valid. So when I study canon law, and the teacher insisted on that, to be exact, correct, exact. Otherwise the paper has no value. So if I say, for example, Bill McCarthy, but in my country it has no value. I must say William McCarthy. Okay, in conversation I can say Bill, but in the paper I must write, if I give a diploma, MA, I must write the complete name, Bill William Fox, William McCarthy, William Evans, and not Bill. Okay? So that is importance of, you know, what you say is very true. Huh? Very true. Huh? Never be sloppy in that kind of procedure. Always very, very strict. Huh? Write exactly the name. Composition now. It is a fallacy resulting from taking something combined, which is true only in a separated sense. In fact, one is in potency, the other in act. For example, the sophist may say that water is both hot and cold, simply because it is potentially hot and actually cold. John chats with me and reads the paper. Therefore, John is able to talk and not to talk. No, you know. You remember what we saw just before in logic? One subject and one predicate. No? One subject and one predicate. These flowers reach full bloom and die off. Therefore, these flowers are blooming and dying. Of course, one in potency, the other in action. Seminarians have period of prayer and study. Therefore, they can pray and study at the same time. I can say that is possible because your study must be a prayer. Now, division. Next page. It is a fallacy resulting from taking something in the divided sense, which is meant to be taken as a unit. Or the sophist ignore the whole, which is composed of various parts. Instead, he emphasizes the parts within the given whole. Example: the number 9 is not different from 7 because 4 it is 7 with a little bit more. You know? Okay. The greater is equal. Why? Because that amount and more beside. You know? The union and husband and wife is both odd uneven, for it is their union makes them two in one flesh. Two in one flesh. Water is one of the lightest substances because water is composed of the lightest substance, that is hydrogen. Therefore, water is the, you know, what is true of the part is not true necessary of the whole. You know, 5 equal 3 plus 2. Therefore, 5 equal 3 and 5 equal 2. No. Another fallacy of accent and also punctuation. So it is a fallacy coming from the usage of the accentuation and punctuation that changed the meaning. I told you just before that in the monument in Rome, you have all the letters written without any punctuation. All the letters are capital. You cannot distinguish the letter. All the words are there. It is you who have to discover the word, separate them, you know. That is a difficulty. Why they did that? Probably because they have to say many things in a thin space. So, send me a man who reads. Send me a man who reads. So, the punctuation sends. The invalid, that means the sick, case be brought in court. Or the invalid, having no force. So, invalid or invalid have two meanings. But that is, you must be of the language to know that. When you write a text, invalid, invalid. But in English, like in Spanish, there is an accent. Probably in Vietnamese, I don't know. Now the invalid, that means the sixth. So the invalid, I was to a pilgrimage a few months ago, here in Stockbridge, with the invalid, those who are handicapped. The Tylenol is the one. More pediatricians give their own children. Tylenol is one more, is the one more pediatricians give their own children. So you change the meaning because you put a punctuation. Brush regularly with Colgate to reduce. New cavities, stop bad breath too. Brush regularly with Colgate to reduce new cavities. Stop bad breath too. So you change the meaning if you change the punctuation. You change the meaning if you change the accent. And many puns, many jokes are based on that also. Depend on the meaning you get. You know, it's important to know the meaning of the word. I told you the sister, Canadian sister, American sister, she went to Peru. When she arrived at the airport, I'll give that to you maybe. Bon, anyway, arrête And she said, are you hungry? So in Spanish, she answered, oh, tengo hombres. I have many men. Instead of tengo hombre. Oh, sister. Oh, estoy embarazada. I am pregnant. I am sorry, you know. That every language is particularly. Even in the same, for example, in French, they use some words we don't use in Quebec. And I mean, the same word has two different meanings. Okay? Okay. Now I go to page 10. So the form of expression, shifting sense. The sense changed because the middle term has two meanings. The middle term has not exactly the same meaning. So it is a fallacy resulting from the expression of two different things in the same word form. For example, the cook smells the soup, and the soup smells good. You know? So the sophist is able to deceive by means of the word turn, because different categories of things, substance, quality, etc., are frequently expressed by the same word form. So the shift occurs easily because of the different contexts in which they are used. Look at that. Advertisement. Lion tamer, the tamer is the one who tame, who dominate the lion, wants tamer lion, the lion who is tame, who is dominated. The man's goodness shines out even when he shines shoes. So to shine and to shine. To shine shoes and to shine, to be bright. Time is passing swiftly every day, while the student is not passing his course. He's not passing his exam, his game. 4. At the time the wind was blowing hard, the policeman was blowing his whistle. Okay? As the years begin to decline, to become less numerous, a man begins to decline everything, not take care of everything. The gardener is flourishing his hoe. But what is the meaning of that? It is like a soldier with a sword. So he has the hoe, you know, what is the hoe? We use that to garden, to move the earth in the garden. So he is brandishing his hoe, at the flourishing rose in front of the, you know. So you have flourishing and flourishing. So that requires you know the language. The same thing happened in Vietnamese, in German, every languages, they have the same thing. Again, another who is given by a student, he was in Polish. I go to Poland to polish my Polish. I go to Poland to polish my Polish. You understand? No? To polish my Polish. To polish my Vietnamese is not for me. You say, I go to France to polish my French. Or I go to Poland to polish my Polish, the Polish language. Okay? That is a good example of shifting sense. Metaphor, in fact, they are there. It is taking a figure of speech literally or stretching it unduly. For example, he was hungry as a horse, so he ate a bucket of oats. So if we see he's hungry, he has a big hunger. He's hungry like a horse. We compare what a horse is eating. He's eating a bucket of oats. That means he is eating a lot of things. Analogy. Analogy. Okay? You have the shifting of word, for example, when we speak about, you remember, all those who you know, the dictator. Dictator, they want justice, and saints want justice. All saints, they want justice. All dictators, they want justice, therefore dictators are saints. And we remember the mistake is the middle term is twice undistributed. Huh? That is a case of shifting sense. Huh? When the middle term, in fact, have two meanings. The meaning of justice for saints and the meaning of justice for dictator is not exactly the same meaning. Huh? So it's a shifting of meaning. In fact, we have four terms. Huh? We have a subject, we have a predicate, and we have two middle terms. Of course, the same word, but the same word does not stand in for the same reality. Huh? Okay? Okay, I go now to. Okay, so now we covered the fallacy of diction. Fallacies based on the way we use the terms, the rules of the language. Now I have advertising to do, some advertising. You know, we are soon at the end of the semester. That is a good news, no?
Very good.
Very good, thank you. It's good for me also. And you have exam, an exam. Well, I will give a take-home, and that take-home you have 30 points. A take-home. I will give you without book, 30 points. In fact, it will be a series of exercises, syllogism. Work on that. Okay? A few questions on fallacies. You receive, I think, a list of the fallacies to know. You have that at the end. And I will give you a question with book, 20 points with book. In fact, we have two classes for, we have one part without book on Monday, and with book on Wednesday. Okay? But, okay? And I ask you also another thing. Fallacies. It is what I know for 10 points. Now it is the fallacy. We are studying fallacy. So I will ask you, I did give you no paper, no? I will give you one very simple, but I think it's important to apply what you study in fallacy. So I ask you to find one fallacy, one fallacy in advertising, It can be on television, it can be on magazine, etc. In advertising or in a text. For example, maybe a text of Putin or Obama or in a speech. But the easiest is here. So, what I ask you, three things. First, I ask you, find a fallacy in advertising. A fallacy. You have television. If you use television, indicate the program, the product. You must start from a fact, don't imagine. Start from a fact. Or from a magazine, Time, or New York Time, or Herald Tribune, etc. Find a fallacy. Secondly, what kind of fallacy? Identify the fallacy. That is not difficult. If you have a paper, if it is on a magazine, photocopy, or if it is a magazine that has no value, detach the page. And when you give me your text with the other, so I can see the text, okay? You understand, huh?
So is this a reflection paper then, Father?
Yeah, but it's not a reflection, it's a question.
Oh, okay.
Huh? Yeah. So first, find a fallacy. Well, you can find that in any magazine or on television. If it's on television, give me the program, give me the product. It's the Colgate, for example, no? Or Budweiser, etc. And well, do you describe them? So after that, you see what kind of fallacy. That is not difficult. Huh? It is very short. Huh? It can be a fallacy of amphibology, etc. And third, why it is a fallacy. It's not sufficient to say it's a fallacy. Tell me why it is a fallacy. You can answer that in 10 lines. It's not the length that interests me, it is the precision, huh? If you are precise. You understand? It's not difficult. Every year I ask that, and that is 10 points of your final exam. Huh? 10 points. One fallacy.
Oh, so we'll bring that in the class?
And when you arrive at the exam, you give me that.
Oh, okay.
It's a part of your exam. So in your exam you have take home, you have question without book, question with book, and the discovery of one fallacy. That is not difficult. And try to find something original. If you arrive with 3 and 4 with the same fallacy, I will ask questions. I prefer you find your own fallacy, so not everyone will use the same. Okay? So keep that for you. Otherwise, oh, you have that? Okay, we use it. That is not a good thing to do. Huh? Yes, brother.
I saw, there's one on a billboard I know of, that's like a really good one, but I don't know if I can find the billboard.
No, but you can say, you can tell me where you saw that,
Okay,
at what time, you know, where place. Identify. Huh?
okay.
If you see it was in your parish last year, at the occasion of the Mother's Day, for example, or Christmas, huh? You identify. Don't take the blopper I gave you.
I was going to say.
No, take something original. No? In fact, every year the student gives me very good answer. You know why I give that to you? It is to make you critical, to be able to see in the advertisement, in the paper, that there is a fallacy there. I don't want to give an answer because you will. And next week, next class we continue. So wait for the next class, and after that you will be able to find easily any kind of fallacy. Okay? Good appetite.